If you own a stock or a mutual fund or an ETF that pays a dividend, you'll find that you receive dividends on a regular basis, probably quarterly. But what exactly should you do with them? In this video, I'm going to talk about dividend reinvestment plans, also known as DRIPs, and how to manage your DRIP settings at Vanguard. Let's take VOO, Vanguard's popular S&P 500 index ETF. It pays a dividend of 1.25% right now, and that means that for every $10,000 you put into VOO, you'll get $125 in dividends, and that gets paid out quarterly over 4 installments. So there you are at the end of each quarter with your dividend distribution, and by default this is going to be distributed as cash and end up in the settlement fund of your brokerage. From there, you could transfer the money to your bank account and spend it, have a little party, pay some bills, whatever. But what if you don't actually need the dividend right now? What if you don't need the cash flow? And you'd rather that money stay invested in the same investment that it came from. In that case, you're kind of out of luck because you can't turn off the dividend or instruct the fund or the stock not to pay it. It's coming to you whether you like it or not. But you can turn around and reinvest the dividend. One way to do this is manually. You could log into your account, see your dividend distribution sitting there as cash, and buy more of the same stock or fund that just paid the dividend. This is called reinvesting your dividend, and the process kind of sucks. You have to remember to log in and do it for one, and you have to make that little decision each time too. Do I want to reinvest this dividend? The market seems a little frothy, maybe I should wait. Or the market's been red a lot lately and maybe I should wait for it to go down more. But the thing is, usually it doesn't pay to wait, especially in the long run. It works out best to get the money invested as soon as possible for as long as possible. So it's best to reinvest the dividend right away. And reinvesting dividends is possible to do manually, but there's a better way, and DRIP is that better way. The industry calls these dividend reinvestment plans. At Vanguard, they call theirs a dividend reinvestment program, but it's the same thing, and it seems that dividend reinvestment plan is the more widely used term across the industry. With DRIP, your investments are on autopilot, and they keep working for you by being invested automatically. This is great because you don't have to log in, you don't have to remember, you don't have to decide. The past version of you already made the decision that the current version of you should go ahead and reinvest those dividends as soon as possible. Now, there are times when you may not want to reinvest your dividends. There are times when you may want to turn DRIP on or off. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But you need to understand that whether you turn DRIP on or off, you still have to pay taxes on those dividends. Even if you have your dividends set to reinvest automatically with DRIP, they're still taxable in the year they're paid. So you can expect a 1099 div form around tax season. But there is good news and bad news about taxes on dividends. The good news is that most dividends you receive will be classified as qualified dividends, and they will be taxed at the lower capital gains rate instead of at your ordinary income rate. The bad thing about dividends when it comes to taxes is you don't have control over them. They are what they are, and they are distributed when they are distributed, whether you want them or not. If you're closely controlling your taxable income, especially in early retirement, you may not want too many dividends, and turning on or off DRIP won't help. The dividends will be taxable either way. All right, so dividends are taxed regardless, but when does it make sense to reinvest dividends? Well, it makes sense during your accumulation phase of investing. In this phase, you're just trying to grow your account as fast as possible, and you're not pulling any money out of your investments to spend. Now, DRIP can help your investments grow faster because the dividends are added back to the investment and they continue to compound. Now, if you look at the total return of a stock or a stock fund investment, it's made of two different parts. You've got the capital appreciation and the dividend, and these together make up what's called the total return. Now, since 1926, dividends have made up about 4 percentage points of the stock market's 10% average annualized return. So a big chunk of what the stock market returns are dividends, and you don't want to miss out on that growth and the continual compounding that those dividends offer. There's also the simplicity and automation of DRIP. So instead of wondering, is this the right time to invest these dividends? DRIP makes the decision for you automatically. And you just make the decision once and set it and forget it. Because if you think you're gonna do it yourself manually, well, it's really easy to forget and just let that cash pile up in your sweep account in your brokerage, which will earn a small amount of interest, but not what it could earn if it was invested. Now, there are also times in your investing life when it may make sense to turn DRIP off and not have those dividends reinvested. And one of those times could be if you have a big upcoming spending goal. Maybe you're saving for something like a house or college expenses. Well, turning off DRIP here lets you collect the cash in your account instead of having it reinvested, and then you can use that money, which you're going to be taxed on anyway, to help fund or to help pay for that big upcoming expense. Another time you might want to turn DRIP off is in retirement, because in retirement, cash or cash flow is king. Especially if you rely on your portfolio to fund your expenses, it makes sense to turn off DRIP and use those funds as needed first. Spend the dividends, and then any additional funds that you need could be achieved by selling shares. But since those dividends that you receive are going to be paid and taxed regardless, well, it makes sense to go ahead and take them and spend them instead of reinvesting them. Another time it may make sense to turn off DRIP is for rebalancing purposes. Let's say you have an 80-20 stock bond portfolio. So you want your portfolio to consist of about 80% stocks and 20% bonds. But if stocks start doing really, really well, which they tend to do compared to bonds, you may find that your asset allocation has shifted. It may creep up closer to 85 or 90%. By turning off DRIP and letting the dividends accumulate, you can then put that cash to work exactly where you need it and buy more of the fund or asset that you need. And this way you can use your dividends to help you rebalance your portfolio. But with this method of rebalancing, it can take time to accumulate enough dividends to make any meaningful rebalance to your portfolio. And of course, you do have to remember to actually go in and do it. So you can see how adjusting DRIP based on your life stage helps keep your investments aligned with your long-term goals and your spending needs. Now let's look at how to manage your DRIP settings at Vanguard, how to turn it on and off. It's really easy to do. Let me show you how. First, you're going to log into your Vanguard account where it has the list of your investments, and you're going to click on any of those investments which may pay a dividend, and you're going to find the DRIP settings. You're going to look for the dividend reinvestment options in your account. You'll see options for dividend reinvestment and capital gains reinvestment, because some funds can generate some capital gains if they're not so efficient. Generally, this isn't going to be too much of an issue. It's dividends that are really going to be paid out on a regular basis. So this is where you can turn DRIP on or off for specific holdings, including your specific ETFs, mutual funds, or even individual stocks. Once you've made your selection, confirm, and that's it. You get this confirmation message, and future dividends will be paid in cash or reinvested or even sent out to an external bank account based on what you choose here. Now, you will want to consider the timing of when you make your adjustment. According to Vanguard's website, to change dividend elections, they must receive the instructions at least 2 business days before the payable date for the changes to be effective with that distribution. And if you want to check on how it's going with your DRIP investments at any time and kind of see the process in action, well, you can go into the activity section in your Vanguard account. Here you'll see any dividend distributions, where they were moved to, whether that's to your sweep account or reinvested back into the same investment. So that's a wrap on DRIP. Vanguard's DRIP program is solid, but of course there are other brokerages like Fidelity, Schwab, and now even Robinhood that have DRIP options too. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and I think you might also like this video about converting mutual funds to ETFs at Vanguard. Now, you can share your questions or experiences with DRIP in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.